Alright, so I've been asked by one of my friends on Facebook to know that I speak about ego. Um, when people hear the word ego, normally they think, people that have big heads, people that are glory seekers, especially people that are glory seekers for no good reason. They're just out there to get their own self gratification out of the whole process. Um, Generally, people put people down when they've got a big ego. It makes themselves feel better, and then what happens is there's a circle of resentment happens. The people that are being put down will always then say, "Oh yeah, this other person, he done this to me. He made me feel this way. Who does he think he is? Does he? He's got a big head. His ego's too big." Um, you generally don't have to put up to that kind of stuff. You just have to put up with it. We only allow people to do things to us what we allow them to do to us. So in that regard, you can kind of overcome anybody that have big egos by just not getting involved in their world. Just back away from it. Tell me you're not interested. No, thank you. I've got my own life to lead. Thanks very much. Life is hard. You're going to drop down. People that are being successful, you might feel sometimes, oh, look at that guy. He's doing well with his big flash car. Who does he think he is? Sometimes that happens a lot in Ireland. I remember Bono talking about if you were walking down the street in LA and you're walking past a mansion, the guy you're probably going to say like, yeah, I wish I had that guy's house. I wish I had that guy's car. I wish I had that guy's life. If you were walking down the street in Dublin and you were walking back past the mansion, you'd probably say, look at that dirty maggot. I hope he rots in hell. So there's a bit of resentment there sometimes, and the people that get to those places of success, potentially, it was because of their ego. So their ego has risen to a place where they have belief in themselves. Their self value goes up. They boost others around them. They make others people feel happy, feel better, and because of that, then people will give them more time, people will give them more effort, people make more conceited help to make sure that person succeeds, because they're happy to see that person succeed, because that person's a nice person, and they're a happy, confident person, and those kind of things is what draws people to other people. When you just do things for yourself totally, and you've no other person involved in your reality than you, then other people are not going to engage with you. They're not going to want to be part of your world. And it's when people are part of your world, then you increase your value. If you're just on your own, then you have no value to anybody else but yourself, and that's okay. But if you want to become successful, then you need to increase your value to more people. The more people you're valuable to, the more success you will get. And that success can be anything. It can be it can be money. It can be valuables. It could be things. Whatever you think in your life is going to be successful. That's what success is. That's what it will be. So you're more attracted to people as well. I found myself when I was young. I had no ego, very low ego, very low impression of myself. Didn't think I was worth anything to anybody. Walked around with a big scowl on my face, typical grumpy teenager, head down, shoulders hunched. Got bad back actually from that time in my life, where I'd have my shoulders hunched over so much that I get really bad pains in my back after a while. And I probably still have some of those pains to this day, just from the way I carried myself back then. I had no girlfriends, very few friends. I had no direction. It was just existing. Just didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. I had went through different ideas in my head. Said, okay, we'll go to college. I didn't want to really do anything in college. On the syllabus didn't kind of jump out at me. I ended up going into the energy healing afterwards and doing the Reiki stuff, and looking at other things like that. But they were things I had to just eventually got towards. That in the early days, I just didn't know where I was going. It was just kind of, what would I do? Wandering around the place, going from job to job, nothing held down. Just working just to have some money. Once I had some money, it didn't matter to me at all. But just as I said, just getting along, life was kind of just like there, and it was just happening, and I didn't have any kind of control over what was happening. Over time, I started to kind of change a little bit, and a lot of it was down to the fact that I started shaving my head, and it might sound like a silly thing, but that one day I was working in a hotel, and I saw one of the video cameras, one of the footage from a video camera from the bar, and there was this guy walked into the bar in the shot, and walked around inside the counter. I didn't know who it was, so I asked one of the guys, "Who's that guy there?" And they said, "Oh, that's you." So there was me, didn't knowing it was me, because when the light was shining on top of my head, I could see straight through all my hair that I thought I had, and there was no hair there. So next day, shaved all that stuff off, and since then I've had my lovely, polished dome. So since I'd done that, girls that had no interest in me before, that I knew for a long, long time, and had been dying to get a chance to go out with, suddenly had interest in me. People that would never look sideways at me, always maybe had a laugh and a joke with me the odd time, but then would just kind of back off. If things kind of seemed like there could have been a moment, shave my head, change my attitude, and suddenly I had these people coming to me to be with me. People became more friendlier. Everybody in generally became more friendlier because I was a happier person. Because suddenly I was starting to get interest from girls, and then I became more friendly to everybody else as well. And people became friendly back to me. It was like a continuous circle. I found my life partner through this time. After a certain period, I found the woman that I am now married to and have my 4 beautiful children with. But even she says to this day that when she looks at the pictures of me back before I shaved my head, she would have never went out with that guy. I was working with her at the time in a hotel, a different hotel, and I walked up to her one day in work, and I just said, "You want to go on a date?" And she said, "Yeah." And she said afterwards that if it was the guy that didn't have the shaved head, she would never have went out with that guy. So I would never have had this life that I have now if it wasn't possibly for that time when I realised I needed to shave my head and change how I looked, and that really changed everything for me after that. I realised that some people that I thought were friends, also they were not friends. There was some people in my life that I really put a lot of effort in for, and they put some back to me, but not a whole lot. I realised that I was involved in some relationships that were a little bit they weren't symbiotic relationships. They were very leeching kind of way, so like it was a one-way thing and very controlling. Because I was that kind of a person, I was in a low position, I didn't think high of myself, so I circled myself underneath people that I felt could protect me, and because of that, then they got used to me being around, that they could kind of fall back on when there were other friends that didn't have any interest in them, stuff like that. And I didn't really see it until I raised my own ego of myself. So this created an emotional freedom for me. Definitely through my martial arts training over the years, it had given me certain physical abilities that I could be confident to defend myself in some way through physical attack, but I still had this kind of withdrawn kind of nature in myself, because sometimes in martial arts some people kind of think that you have to be like a warrior monk kind of thing. You have to be this poor pauper, quiet and withdrawn person, and that's not always the case. What would happen would be, I'd look at people that had big inflated egos, and that's what we call it, but that really wasn't what they were. They were just arrogant people, and there's a very distinct difference, and that's probably what I'm trying to even say in this whole course of the video, that don't confuse arrogance and ignorance with a big ego. They're two very different things. For me, having a big ego means that you have a big self-esteem, that you believe in yourself, that you are going to you can do what you want to do, you can achieve what you want to achieve, that you don't have a second of self-doubt, that you know that you are a very worthy, valuable person to society, and that you can do things to help others. What you can do is maybe some things that other people cannot do, and that's not a bad thing to have. When you get to the opposite of that, then you drop yourself down, and you think you have a deflated ego. Then that's where people get into depression. That's where people feel they're not worthy. They think they're not valuable. They think that their life isn't worth it, and this is where people commit suicide, unfortunately. And there's no need for it. And everybody can justifiably have a good impression of themselves. There's a great expression I heard said once. Nobody thinks they're ugly, and it's a very good way to look at things. If you look at everybody else that you look at around you, you will develop an impression of. If you look at them in a way where you're comparing them to you, or you're comparing them to other people, if you just look at other people as being other people who have the same kind of ideas of themselves that you may have, then it becomes a different thing. Then it becomes a connection that we can have with each other, where we all think we're beautiful, and we're trying to do things to make our lives easier in this world. And when you kind of think like that, and you can try to help people along to get up to that level where they have that kind of self-belief in themselves. They don't have to judge other people. They don't have to put other people down to make themselves feel better. You actually get the effect that those people with the arrogant self-confidence side are trying to put other people down to make themselves feel better. Whereas like when you make other people feel better about themselves, then you will get the reward back. So I pretty much think, hopefully I got the message across there that, be a better you, and break away from what you think society wants you to do. Do what you want to do, and do the best thing that you want to do and what you can do. If there's something that you can't do at the moment and that you really want to do it, go learn it. Go find it. Go find somebody that's better at it than you, that's the top of their class at it than you, and ask them what they do. Make notes, practice every day, and keep going until you get there, and feel good about yourself. If you think you have to change something, in your persona, in your outward look, then do that. Take little steps and do it along the way. It's okay to inflate your ego. You don't have to inflate it to the point where it's pushing other people out of the way, but you have to inflate it to a place where you are feeling good about yourself. And when you start feeling good about yourself, people feel good about you, and the rewards will come. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll see you on Facebook.